Here with Heath Hinton, Granville football going into Week 11, Round 1 of the Division III playoffs, taking on number 9 Sheridan in the first round at home. And I appreciate you joining us, Coach, for another week here with Storied Rivals. And first, I want to ask you because I'm curious. I'm curious your thoughts, and I'm sure coaches have different thoughts on this. But the last couple of years, the playoff field has been 16 teams.
Sure.
But I'm sure a lot of people thought that's way too big, and the discrepancy in terms of talent on 1 seeds versus 16 seeds is a lot different and whatnot. And so we shrink it down to 12 teams this year. The first 4 teams get buys, and then seeds 5 through 8 get home playoff games, and so on and so forth. What are your thoughts on this 12 team field that we've shrunk down to?
Yeah, I think it's really good. I think it's different. I've talked to some of the coaches that actually have a bye right now, and I've talked to those guys, see what they're doing in case it ever happens to me. But I'm kind of glad that we're kind of in the midst of still playing and in the midst of games.
Sure.
We're relatively healthy, so it's kind of fun to continue that momentum after a big win last week, and continue that momentum. Like into this week. And I think, some of the guys brought up, the college football playoffs, and what happened there with teams that had buys. I'm sure it might not happen that way here, but, it's just different. People hadn't had to adjust to it yet. I like we still get a home game. For us, it's still good. It's great for us and our fans, our community, and our seniors and our team to still get a home game. So it's nice.
Yeah. Now you mentioned being relatively healthy, and you got one of your big pieces back last week. And when we talked, mid-season, you didn't think you were going to get Jakob Culver back from that collarbone injury, and he's back. He had a couple scores last week, so welcome back, Jakob Culver. But what's given the thought that you didn't think you were going to get him back, how nice is it to have him back? He's got a game now under his belt. He's taken some hits, so he knows he can take a hit. And now you've got him for this playoff run.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. It's awesome for him. He struggled last year, having a similar injury, set him out the rest of the year. And he came back this year, relatively, healthy all the way through, and until that week 4 matchup. Losing him was a big, crushing blow, but it also gave opportunities to other people. Other people on offense, other people on defense. Carter Ryan stepped up there as a freshman. We didn't know how durable, how well he would do, and he's doing really well. And it kind of adds another piece, and it adds another piece to our depth. But really happy for Jakob. Just come in, not even get a couple catches, come and get a couple scores and be an impact person early on in that game was awesome for him.
Now to have Culver, and you mentioned Carter, who has been just huge, and as a freshman, just seems like he's going to be a dominant receiver for 4 years. But to have both of them on both sides of the field, I mean, how cool is that for your quarterback and for your offense to add that extra layer of I guess like another weapon really to use for you on offense that complements that run game that you have with Kyle.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to add weapons, add guys that that bring a lot of value. They still block down the field a little bit. They get in people's ways, and they do a good job. And now defense has got us. If we put them on one side together, now they got to defend two really good players, and then you put them on either on opposite side of each other, now you get to defend the whole field, and then you got Kyle with the running game, and really the people that don't get a lot of credit is our offensive line. They're keeping Jackson clean and healthy. And they're keeping Kyle, the linebackers off the D line off of him. He gets a second level, and he's hard to bring down.
Now, talk to me about this matchup with Sheridan. I'm sure you've already started looking at film and everything, and you're preparing and getting ready for them. But they've played 2 highly emotional games the last 2 weeks. 2 rivalries, one against Tri-Valley, where they lost in a heartbreaker in double overtime, and then their Perry County rival, New Lex, who's had an outstanding season. They prevent them from reaching 10-0, and New Lex has been an outstanding football team this year. So 2 highly emotional games, and then now you have to step into playoff mode, and maybe you could argue the last couple weeks for them kind of have been playoff games in a sense for them in terms of the emotional nature, but also must-win games. Now they take on you, and they're a very dominant, physical running team, and Logan Russell is their lead back, who's got over 1,000 yards rushing this year, and they're dominant, they're physical, they've played highly emotional games. What are your thoughts on the Generals as they get ready to come to your place this week?
You know what? It's kind of cool because we already scrimmaged them, our first scrimmage. So it's neat to have that kind of, you understand where you were then, you understand like kind of their base stuff. But, they just seeing them then in person, they're big up front. We were really inexperienced at the time, but they're big up front. They have big running backs, they have big skill guys. I just think that they're a very solid offense and even better defense too. They run the
Yeah.
ball, they tackle well. And the emotions of games. I think it kind of are they going to carry it on? I think they will. They have really good coaches over there. They're going to get them prepared. They'll be ready to play on another road test for them and they're ready to play that game. So eventually in the playoffs you're going to have to win on neutral sites or away sites. So
Sure.
I think they'll be ready to go. It's going to be a great atmosphere. There's not that many games around in town area. I think hopefully be a big crowd for us, and that community over there has loved football for so long, and our community it does such a great job supporting us. It's going to be, like I said, an awesome atmosphere.
Now, what's your message to the team, for the playoffs? Because last year you had a super talented team, and you have a talented team this year. But last year's team maybe didn't make it as far in the playoffs as a lot of people maybe projected them to, just because your quarterback Beckett gets suspended a game, and that changed the entire outlook of how your season could have ended if you had him. What's your message to the guys on this year's squad to keep a level head, not let some of that outside pressure and noise get to them. And I mean, just kind of treat it as business as usual, even though it is a playoff game and it's win or go home.
Yeah.
What's your message to the guys this week?
Right now, we're battle tested. We've lost some games, lost some close ones too. So we know how it feels to lose, and how much work it takes to stay in it. So kind of our message this week is we're a different team. We have some great leaders right now with some guys that were Kyle was a captain last year and has really stepped it up this year. We have some other captains that are other seniors, but we also have another junior captain that's kind of leading the way also. So it's really nice to get that leadership, the continuity together. It's nice to have my staff together for 2 years. Wes did a great job. After taking over, it kind of gives you that after that first year is kind of your buffer year is kind of really get sold on how I do it, and we kept a lot of things similar, but it's a little bit different. I
Sure.
feel really proud of this team and the struggles they went through. We've been young and inexperienced, but our senior leadership has really put us in the right perspective and the right make everything about the team. So
Well, we're excited to watch a great football game on Friday at your place at Granville, taking on the Sheridan Generals. And I appreciate you making time for me, Coach, on at 9 a.m. on a Wednesday morning. Man, love talking football with you, and best of luck against Sheridan and on your playoff run.
hey, thank you so much.